Hello, good evening everybody, and welcome to Watkins, Glen International near upstate New York for round 10 of season 4 of the 2025 Radical Race Series here on iRacing. My name is Edward Hunter. Joining me in the commentary box is our broadcast director and my co-commentator, Mr. Jim Cunningham. Jim, welcome home, buddy. Here we are in the good old US of A, as they say, for another exciting round of our Radicals, our SR10s, SR8s, all in attendance. Qualifying has just finished, very, very close, but it's a familiar name up front, Simon Edwards, I believe, who is currently set the fastest time, or at least in practice he had set the fastest time, hadn't he? I think we actually have just started qualifying.
Yes.
Unless this is the warm-up, Jim. No, it is actually qualifying.
This is the qualifying. Just started. We're about 2 minutes in, so nobody's actually even turned an official lap as of yet.
Yeah, and of course, just a recap for last week's events at Monza. So luckily now I'm doing 2 weeks in a row, so I can actually tell you what happened last week, which was, of course, won in the sprint race by, was it Simon Edward? No, Tom. I think Simon was P2 in both races there, wasn't it? It was... yeah, this is a bad thing. Was it Paul LeMay that won the opener?
That you doing 2 weeks in a row didn't help at all with you remembering what happened last week.
No. I should probably just look at the results thing on the... that would probably tell me, wouldn't it?
Probably be your best bet at this point, because relying on memory is clearly not working for you. And I'm the old one here. Let's that's make that point. I'm the one that's
I believe it was
memory issues.
LeMay that set pole, won the first race ahead of Simon Edwards, and then the reverse grid race, the feature, was won definitely by Commentators Bjorklund, again holding off Simon Edwards with a fantastic finish. I believe it was Commentators Bjorklund's fourth feature race victory of the season, so he's become a bit of a specialist at the reverse grid format, whereas it's usually the likes of Edwards, LeMay, Jamie Bird, and Luke Crowley, of course, that have won in the sprint. I think George Gonzaga has also won the sprints too this season. So yeah, pretty more evenly spread in the typical format where you qualify and that's where you start. But anyway, Watkins Glen, Jim, it's a pretty old school track, it must be said. Lots of fast corners, a couple of tight chicanes, as well as you see the invisible glass advertisement in the background there. But yeah, definitely it's been around for many, many years. And it's one of those circuits that everybody always loves coming to, doesn't it? Because it tends to challenge these drivers. Fits the Radicals, I think, rather well, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun in the Radicals, actually. And of course, I'm sure most people probably know this, but Watkins Glen got a recent makeover, I guess you'd call it, in the previous this current season's update at the beginning of the season. They refreshed and updated the curbs, and well, as you just saw him launch over that curb right there. By the way, this is James Barry, who's on track right now, and this is his first appearance of the year. And for those of you that follow Radical Racing, James is well known to be one of the faster guys in the world in a Radical. So it's good to have him here. That should make for some interesting competition up front. Obviously, he won't play he could play a factor in the points in the fact that he could take spots away from people who need points or something like that. But yeah, good to have him here. But yeah, Watkins Glen refreshed, ready to go. Love this track. It is, as you said, old school. It was America's first Formula One track, I believe, right after World War II.
Sebring, I think, was the first, technically.
Oh.
It was definitely one of the first two or three that was on the calendar, I think. Unless you count Indianapolis 500 itself, which kind of doesn't count as well. It was technically part of the F1 World Championship, but it was always sort of a little bit of an anomaly. As we see Barry go second fastest, just 4 thousandths off of the pole time, currently set by Simon Edwards, our championship leader, leading by 25 points over Bruno Vittorino. He set a 139.242 then. So that's quite impressive to see Barry right on the pace then, having been absent for the championship for quite a few months.
Yes, it's also quite impressive to see him doing it in an SR8, well, especially when he's driving an SR10. Apparently I did not.
Well, when you have a sentence like that, God knows what he's driving.
Well, apparently I thought I did the update properly, but iRacing had its own idea, so we'll jump in there real quick and try to update him on the timing sheet. Let's see if that helps. There we go. All right. Yeah. So got a few minutes here. Let me pull up the let's pull up the times for everybody so we can all see what's going on here. And we'll pull up our best times. Let's see. There we go. Shows everybody what's going on out there. Clearly, right now, it would appear that the SR10 is obviously looks like the fast lap dominator here.
Well, that's not too surprising if you consider there's basically that long stretch from the S's all the way down Widgewood front straight as well, until you get to the chicane. That's pretty much flat out, and that feels like it would absolutely play into the hands of the SR10 unless they detuned it a lot, as Barry now sets the fastest lap, 1:38.972. Heinz Braun also goes third fastest, does the German in his Heinz-Sauer Frentzen helmet then. So, yeah, Simon Edwards now just under 3/10 off of pole when he was about 400ths ahead up until that point then. So, yeah, Barry really starting to put the car for its paces. The driver that's really lighting up the middle sector there is Paul LeMay, though, as you can see there. Man who set pole in Monza. So it seems when you get to the chute, toe, uphill, and then into the boot, that seems to be much stronger territory there for Paul LeMay, who again, in that sort of third of five sectors, or fourth of five sectors, also goes briefly purpless before Sordy Reitman, I think, and David Rolliston, surprisingly, goes slightly faster. As we see over the start finish line he comes. I don't think Paul LeMay has quite improved his lap time just yet. He stays sixth fastest, just ahead of Luke Crowley. He's just beaten Jamie Bird's time. But yeah, interesting to see. Behind Heinz Braun, it's very, very close between Reitman, Andre Bjorklund, Paul LeMay, and even Luke Crowley and Jamie Bird sitting the exact same time, I think, almost, if you look at those lap times there.
And that's kind of impressive since they're both in different cars as well.
Just 1,000 between them. I think Crowley only 1,000 quicker.
That was. I guess that's kind of the point of the balance of power for these things. But but it appears, again, the fact that the SR10s are faster here, like you said, it's not terribly surprising. This place has got a lot of fast sections. Yeah, he was all the track right there. But again, he pulled a purple sector right there. I mean, that's the kind of way you got to push these cars. You got to hang them out on the edge, and Paul's talked about that a lot. Just keep up with the speed of the SR10s, these SR8s. He really has to hang them out on the edge.
Oh, he's bailed out of that one.
Yeah, well, yep. Well, that was the end of qualifying. That was it.
Okay, well, that makes perfect sense then. But it is James Barry on his return then, who takes pole position by 0.2 of a second from Simon Edwards. And if that isn't a statement of intent, I don't know what is. So James and Simon on the front row. That is going to be a very, very tasty sprint race in prospect then. Both in SR10s, James Barry and Simon Edwards make up your front row from Heinz Braun and Sorley Reitman on row 2. Kim-Andre Bjorklund leads Paul LeMay first at the SR8 ahead of Luke Crowley and Jamie Bird on row 4. Row 5, George Gonzaga and Lars-Erik Frydenlund. Good qualifying from Frydenlund for Sim Racing Norway. David Rolliston and Mike Buson make it an all SR8. Row 6, row 7, Robert Woodward and Colin Wynn, with Stefan Mellis and Graham Maffey making up row 8 and the final row of the grid. So Maffey 3 seconds off pole. So he'll be looking to improve that as the race goes on. But Maffey tends to be pretty clean, it must be said, in what we've seen so far. So let's hope the Scotsman can make progress, him and Stefan Mellis. And Mellis, with his traditional bad luck, that seems to follow him around like a bad smell. So let's hope the Belgian can finally have some good luck at Watkins Glen. As you can see the advertising, go bowling. I think it's, isn't the last corner named after bowling or something? at Watkins Glen.
Is it? It might be. That's it's famous marking on the wall there, but I didn't really realize that it was actually named after it. But yeah, maybe. Which is pretty sad. I should know that.
Yeah, it is otherwise known. Basically, it's just turn 11, isn't it? But,
well, you know how Americans are.
Depending on the layout.
We're real creative with our names. 10A, 10B, you know.
Well, anyway then. The sprint race about to begin any second now, and it will be Barry.
Waiting on Bjorklund here still. He hasn't joined the grid yet.
There he is. There's Kim. You can just see him popping into 5th position in the background, and that means we're about to see the green flag fly. The lights will go on, and when they do and turn green, we will be underway here at Watkins Glen. The lights go out, but they don't turn green. And the race is well and truly on to something here as Heinz Braun actually gets up the inside of Simon Edwards. A terrible getaway by Edwards' high standards here, and it is Braun into P2. Andre Bjorklund passes Reitnen into P4 as well then, so sorely losing a position crucially after a brilliant late lap in qualifying. And look at this, Braun defending against Edwards, nearly pushing him into the wall, and this is allowing Bjorklund to nearly go 3 wide with them as they go towards the chicane for the first time down the back straight as they go into the inner loop. And this is where it's so crucial to stay out of trouble. Everybody just about leaving enough space for each other, but Edwards very much on the defensive from Andre Bjorklund then. This was not part of the championship leader's game plan then, as Barry and Braun disappearing up the road. As you can see, Paul LeMay going wide in the background, looking for a way around Sorley Reitnen and opening the door potentially for Luke Crowley in the Racer X livery, it looks like, in his SR.
Oh, he's gonna get all kinds of camera time if he's driving the Racer X livery.
It looks very Speed Racer, yes, the white and the yellow and black. Sorry, briefly went colorblind there. But anyway, it's the man in the purple and red car, Simon Edwards, under pressure at the moment, holding off a train of cars. As you see Luke Crowley fighting away with Jamie Bird in the background, and it's Bird that's made it through around the outside as they exit the heel into turn 9 and go into the last couple of corners here. So it's very, very high speed before they go into turn 11, or as I'm going to call it, the Go Bowling Bend. And you can see on board here with LeMay trying to put the pressure on Sorley Reitnen in his red, and it's got a few green highlights on the back of that livery, so it looks like a new livery for our Finnish driver here. The 5th place man goes a little wide through the first corner, but there's plenty of curb enabling you to do that. You've just got to be careful you don't compromise your exit too much running that wide and having to destabilize yourself over the curb. Through the S's once again and onto that back straight into the last chicane. You can see there Jamie Bird and Luke Crowley trying to work together to keep up with LeMay as well. Crowley sort of at the back of this train, as you still see in the background. I think Stefan Mellis has just gotten past Colin Wynn for 14th place there. So as Colin Wynn has fallen right to the back behind Graham Matthews. So it's clearly some issues for the British driver there as we look at Crowley biding his time then. And certainly trying to hope that Jamie Bird can and Paul LeMay can force their way past Reitnen and that he can kind of take advantage and follow through in his SR10, which in theory is the better car to have here around Watkins Glen. But Paul LeMay, Jamie Bird, 2 excellent drivers here, and they are definitely keen to make sure that neither of them is left too vulnerable at this early phase.
Ooh, apparently Colin Wynn had an incident here. Let's take a look.
He's out of the race, I think. Let's have a look then.
My famous slow motion replays for you.
So Wynn going around the outside of Mellis into the chicane, slots in behind. Does he just go too far over the curb, loses control, slam into the wall? Well, he was certainly moving, as it says on the side of the car, but not in the direction he would want to. Look at those wheels. They do not look in the best of health then. Oh, well,
no, what happened?
I don't think there's any big change.
Okay, no, my brain was fogging there for a second. I think all Reitnen and LeMay are fighting. That's what's happening here as Sorley Reitnen uses the SR10 to go back around the outside. And look at this, 3 SR8s and Luke Crowley at the back, all trying to get involved here. So Crowley is actually, despite what it says on the time screen, he is in an SR8. So all 3 of them
briefly went 3 wide there, but it's Paul LeMay that holds on, and Crowley still stuck at the back of this train with George Gonzaga quickly catching up. He was about 4 seconds behind at the start of this lap, and he's rapidly closing in.
Wow, yeah, Luke Crowley has changed cars, hasn't he?
Simon Edwards, by the way, sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's now only 2/10 behind Braun. So our top 3 are only about half a second apart from one another. So that should be very, very interesting. Kim-Andre Bjorklund, another half a second behind as well, as we look at Jamie Bird following Paul LeMay and Sorley Wrighton. And LeMay trying to go to the outside through turn 9. Is he going to be given the room? Is he going to be forced into the wall? No, he isn't. That's brilliantly brave to go around the outside there. And yeah, Paul LeMay up to P5 then, as the SR8 continuing to gain ground here. And Jamie Bird now is lining up Wrighton.
Yeah, Jamie's back there dicing around. He's dancing around a lot, seems real anxious right now, which sometimes can be a bad thing for Jamie. That's where occasionally he'll push it a little hard and lose, and cause himself a little issue.
Yeah, the key thing though is with the 3 or even 4 leaders so tightly bunched together, Paul LeMay is only a second down on them. He could absolutely get in the slipstream and become part of the conversation here. But look at this, Wrighton already fighting back then, and immediately, just like we saw the lap before, Wrighton just goes up the inside, uses the grunt of the SR10 to retake that 5th position here. And this is all really playing into the hands of Gonzaga, who's now right behind Crowley here, as we see Jamie Bird going super wide as they go into the inner loop, and around the outside again comes Paul LeMay as he approaches through the chute of turn 7. Now he's got the inside for the toe, and he's through into P5 then. Unconventional move, but he had to strike while the iron was hot in a place that the SR8 was a bit stronger. Oh, around goes Jamie Bird as we ride right on board with him. He just keeps it out the wall, but that's costly for the man third in the points.
Yeah, I hate to see that. That's
it's because we're on board with him, the extra camera pressure.
Is that what it was? It could be that. Yeah.
That's what Jamie will say, yeah. But nonetheless, look at this. This is the leaders then. Simon Edwards trying to go side by side with Braun, and Bjorklund was almost trying to go through the middle of both of them there. Braun defending well, and Edwards getting held up. Here comes Bjorklund then, once again, come out to play with his good buddy Simon Edwards here. We've seen so many great contests between these two throughout the season. It's Bjorklund in the inside at turn 1, and he's through onto the podium then, and Simon Edwards now will have to tuck in. So our SR10's dueling away, but at the moment Barry, because of all this, has gained a whole second on Braun.
Yeah, and he has pulled out a second, but in most cases, if we were watching this kind of battle right here, look at this, would you? Yeah,
it's Braun nearly being passed by Andre Bjorklund, but Bjorklund gets blocked there, and that allows Simon Edwards to have a brief little nibble at the back of the Norwegian driver there, but no chance, no big slip up there for him to take advantage of. He was playing it very safe behind Heinz Braun here. They're on lap 5 of 9, so just over half distance here in the sprint race, and not a whole lot of movement in our top 4, despite them all being so tightly packed together. Paul LeMay has pulled about 5 seconds, I think, on half a second, I should say, on Sorley Wrighton. Completely misread that. Shows you never trust the timing screen. But yes, we did also see Mike Bousson has cleared Stefan Mellis for P13, I believe, on this lap, as Jamie Bird is trying to pass Robert Woodward to get back into the top 11. So crucial for Bird in his lead of the SR8 championship to go around the outside of Robert Woodward, which is exactly what he tries to do at turn 9. But there's Woodward, that looked to me like you saw the red lights flashing at the rear. He very much got out of Jamie Bird's way there.
Well, I mean, sometimes you better off not fighting that, because Jamie was obviously significantly faster than him. This is quite a little 4-way battle right here going on.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, Jim. So Gonzaga has actually cleared Luke Crowley. David Rolliston's actually at the back of this. He's gained 2 positions from where he started, same as Gonzaga, but Gonzaga's going for Wrighton, and then as they go side by side through the exit of the S's onto the back straight. and into the inner loop chicane. Oh, Barry has made a mistake. Something's happened to Barry. He's lost the lead here, and he falls all the way down to 8th position. There he is. He slows to a crawl. Something is very wrong with that SR10. It spins onto the grass. Barry looks very frustrated there.
All right, well, let's see what happened to Barry here.
Either way, that's handed Simon Edwards the lead now, because you can see in the background cleared Braun. So over the curb, destabilizes exactly what we saw earlier, isn't it, from Colin Wynn. And Barry gets away without damage, but loses so much time that maybe that's caused his frustration here.
Well, I think he's one of those guys. He's here to win the race, and, he's not here for points. And so he chose a different path there, but just to take it.
Rolliston clears Reitinen. So Reitinen is not having a good day, is he? Because he's continuing to drop down the order. And Rolliston, by contrast, him and Gonzaga, to the two big gainers from their grid slots, both gaining 4 positions. And especially impressive from Rolliston in the SRAs. You saw Bjorklund there tapping the wall at the final corner. He's desperate to clear Braun. Edwards, I think earlier down the back, just on the exit of the S's, was able to clear Braun on the exact same lap that we saw James Barry spin over the curb and out of the lead. So that was 2 positions gained in quick succession for Simon Edwards here. But the lead very much hanging in the balance here. Bjorklund has backed off a little bit, and that's allowed Braun to stay in the slipstream there. So that's smart from Kim-Andre Bjorklund to use Braun to tow him back towards Edwards here, as they're really risking it over the curbs as much as they dare, seeing what happened to Barry there. Paul LeMay is a good 3 seconds behind all of them. Gonzaga has now had a moment, so both of the insert name here drivers having issues at that chicane. Then Gonzaga has fallen all the way down to 12th position now, and I think he's out as well. He's done the exact same mistake as James Barry.
Was it in the same spot? Let's go see.
I almost guarantee it. Let's see. Over the curb behind Paul LeMay. Yeah, it's the exact same curb. He avoided the second one, but he was heading straight for the wall either way. And that's 2 laps in a row. Are we going to see your driver drop it there every lap now? Such is the curse of Watkins Glen.
Well, and again, those curves have been remodeled. They are nastier than they used to be. So, they're just a little bit tougher than they were. And so if you're not quite used to that, these cars really get thrown around by those bigger curves. They're pretty light, and they don't handle the curves like a GT3 car or something like that.
Well, everyone flirting with the wall at the final corner then as we enter the penultimate lap, and you can see Rolliston with his sights on Luke Crowley and what's now the battle for 5th position. Paul LeMay within about a second 2 seconds, I should say, of Bjorklund. So he isn't too far off, but I think LeMay may have to settle for P4 here. I think the SR8's not quite got the grunters. Now we see Braun pulling out very early down the back straight, almost as if to block Bjorklund rather than fight Simon Edwards there. So this is definitely Heinz Braun trying to consolidate P2 rather than necessarily going for the lead here.
Yeah, it would appear that. I don't know. Maybe he likes that shallower line in there. I can't imagine that he would, but
less risky. Maybe less risky. It makes him avoid the curves. But either way, it is playing into the hands of Simon Edwards a little bit here, and you can sense Braun starting to really feel the pressure from Bjorklund behind. We've seen a number of times this season where Heinz Braun has made mistakes under pressure. Remember him spinning out when fighting for the lead couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? At what was the round before Monza? It was Mid-Ohio. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the Hockenheim was around before, but Mid-Ohio was the one where I remember him absolutely spinning out in the final sector about halfway through the race. He was one of like 4 or 5 leaders in that particular feature race. We still got the feature to come here, of course. But yeah, this is a good performance from Braun, despite as we go on to the final lap of the race then. And Simon Edwards has driven brilliantly, hasn't he? Despite a slow start, as they all go as wide as they dare through the first corner. And yeah, Braun did jump him at the start, and it looked like it was going to be James Barry's to lose. But unfortunately, James Barry spinning out has very much handed it back to Simon Edwards, hasn't it? And you can sense here Braun knows he's running out of opportunities. As you see Mike Bousson fighting away with Robert Woodward. Yeah, Bousson and Woodward have been some of the more entertaining battles in this race. Good to see Mike Buson having a better day as we see Reitman under pressure from Rolliston. I think that's Reitman repassing Rolliston.
He got by him, yeah, exactly.
Much to the relief then of Luke Crowley, who's at least going to be able to hold on to P5 at the end of this race then. But Simon Edwards,
I have
just got to hold on for a few corners more. Go on, Jim.
I'm just horribly disappointed in Luke Crowley. You know, he's for years he's known that I believe in him, and he went and picked black and yellow color scheme, and he did not make it the Racer X color scheme. He did not make the crossed X on the car. I can't tell you how disappointed I am in Luke, and he's probably going to send me a. Oh, that was close. I tell you what,
that was
Braun kind of sent it in there, didn't he?
Did you see he flashed his lights before he did that? He telegraphed that in advance, and I think that's why Simon Edwards was able to cover it off. But anyway, one more corner to go, just through turn 11 for the final time in the sprint race, and it's going to be Simon Edwards on a rare occasion this season that is going to add the sprint race win to his name. Then Heinz Braun takes second with Kim-Andre Bjorklund in third. Paul LeMay will be fourth from Luke Crowley in the yellow and black non-Racer X SR8 in fifth. There's Jeremy Bird. He just misses out on eighth place to Lars-Erik Frydenlund as they cross the line a tenth apart then. As Mike Buson there will take 11th ahead of Stefan Mellis. So all in all, a pretty exciting race.
Very exciting.
You got a feel for James Barry and for George Gonzaga as well, because both of them were looking strong until that moment.
George certainly more. You know, James showed up here to play around and try to win a race and race the fast guys. And he caught a curb. It was bad news, but he's not. He's not in a championship fight or anything. He's just. He's speaking of championship fight. Let's take a look at the points real quick while we're in this warm-up session here.
So was this the points going in?
Going into, yes, before this tonight, yeah.
Yeah, so here's your SR8 standings. Jamie Bird, 46 points ahead of Stefan Mellis. He still finished ahead of Mellis, I think, despite that little spin we saw earlier. So certainly Jamie Bird should have increased his lead a little bit in the points. Colin Wynn is third, having recently been overtaken by Mellis in the class. Graham Matthews still fourth ahead of Paul LeMay, but LeMay does keep racking up the points, doesn't he? He's only 19 behind Graham Matthews, so there's every chance he could get into the top four by the end of this. Mike Buson is P6 ahead of Robert Woodward. Then it is David Rolliston in 8th ahead of Steve Webb. Recently got up to P9 ahead of Paul Crabb, Josh Reed, and Ewan Stitchborough. Meanwhile, now SR10 standings. Simon Edwards led by 25 going into this one over Bruno Vitorino. Vitorino's not here, so it must be said Simon Edwards is going to have a big lead by the end of this if he keeps going the way he's going. Going into the final two races, he may even be able to wrap it up next time out, mathematically, if I'm not mistaken. Solly Reitman is third, a good 38 points behind Edwards. Then it is Andre Bjorklund in fourth. Then it is followed by Heinz Braun in fifth. Phil Glover is just 5 points behind Braun in sixth. Then it is George Gonzaga, who recently passed Luke Crowley in a close battle for P7. Federico Casasso is ninth, ahead of Lars-Erik Frydenlund, a recent joiner to the championship, who is in 10th. And Lucas Nielsen rounds out your 11 SR10 entrants this season. Overall standings, similar picture really for Simon Edwards as far as he's concerned. 25 points to the good ahead of Vitorino and another 25 clear of Jamie Bird. So Bird, a top SR8, beating quite a lot of the SR10s then. Then it's Reitman, Kim-Andre Bjorklund, Stefan Mellis in 6th, Colin Wynn 7th, Graham Matthew 8th, Paul LeMay 9th, and Heinz Braun rounding out the top 10. So reverse grid is forming up now, and it will be Robert Woodward, who finished 10th in the sprint that starts on reverse grid pole with Jamie Bird alongside him. So every cloud does have a silver lining for Jamie. Lars-Erik Frydenlund and David Rolston on row 2 from Sorley Wrighton and Luke Crowley row 3. Paul LeMay and Kim-Andre Bjorklund row 4. Heinz Braun and Simon Edwards, our winner in the sprint, make up row 5. Mike Buson and Stefan Mellis will consist on row 6th of the 6th row of the grid, and behind them will be Graham Matthew, George Gonzaga, Colin Wynn, and James Barry. Bart's front of the grid in the first race, but he's at the back now as Woodward leads the field away, and Jamie Bird will be eager to get through on the run into the first corner here as we see positions shuffling around behind them. Lars-Erik Frydenlund picks off Rolliston for third as they all go side by side. In the background, you can see Jamie Bird starting to shadow Robert Woodward then as they go through the S's, but this is where everyone going into the chicane. We're desperate to keep it clean, and Reitman has not done so. He spun it through the S's there, and he has hit the wall and fallen right to the back of the field, but it's three-way fight for the lead, and Frydenlund has overtaken both leaders on the run into the chicane, and that's the power of the SR10 in effect there. So Jamie Bird did get past Woodward, but he saw Frydenlund breezing past both of them, inspired from the Norwegian driver there, as it's all chaotic then further down as Woodward holds off Rolliston, LeMay, Braun, Crowley, Edwards, Gonzaga, and Bjorklund. So Gonzaga gains 5 positions halfway through the first lap here.
Wow. That is, that's how you take advantage of it right there.
Yeah, there you go. When others lose their head, you got to keep yours. And Colin Wynn is already out, so I think he must have been collected by Reitman there in that incident. There's Jamie Bird, goes back up the inside of Frydenlund on the run. That must have been into heel there. Oh dear, as we see Paul LeMay passing Woodward. Braun has had a big off there into heel as well for turn 8. So that's going to cost him as we see Crowley trying to hold off Kim-Andre Bjorklund for P7, but an SRA is leading then, and that was not part of Lars-Erik Frydenlund's plan.
No, not at all. Jamie made a nice move. We're gonna get a look back at that when we get a chance here, once this thing settles in just a little bit.
Oh, Woodward passed by Simon Edwards. Edwards up to 5th now. So the big gainers are James Barry's gained 6 positions to get into P10. And he's right behind Gonzaga, his teammates. They could well work together in those SR10s to clear the field then. Bjorklund has just passed Crowley. You can just see that on your stream at the moment as Frydenlund uses the SR10 to go back up the inside of Jamie Bird, despite Bird just taking the fastest lap. So these two could well end up changing positions every sector, essentially, that they get the opportunity to. Rolliston falling down the order. So LeMay and Edwards get past him. Oh, LeMay spins. Oh, and into the wall goes Paul LeMay. Big accident for Paul there. And he gets hit and spun around on the exit there of the inner loop. So that's really, really costly. He just went too wide on the exit of the chicane, and that really cost him dear. But Simon Edwards is up to 3rd already now.
Yes, he sure is.
Usually takes him slightly longer than that.
Is involved in that.
Oh, Barry out for the second race in a row.
Oh, yeah.
So did Barry just get collected by the spinning Paul LeMay?
I think he was involved in the Paul LeMay incident.
Oh, and Jamie Bird has done a carbon copy move of what he did in the first lap past Frydenlund. Yeah, it was 3 into 1. Around the outside of Rolliston and Edwards.
But then,
dear. And you can see no real time for Paul Barry to react to that one. As that's just really ambitious from Paul. Be interested to hear what he says after this one about that incident, because it seems the features don't treat poor Paul too kindly recently, have they?
I mean, that was I think that he'll probably tell you that based on the way these cars are balanced out or whatever, that he has to push a little harder than he normally might, so he puts himself at risk for spins like that and stuff like that. That's probably going to be the story there. This lead up front here, these guys are
again.
Yeah, we've had, I don't even know how many lead changes.
That's at least the 3rd or 4th time they've swapped over, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it seems into the chicane. Frydenlund has got the run out of the S's, the better top speed to clear Jamie Bird. Bird can't really break away enough in the middle sector, but he can actually get ahead going into heel then. So I think Jamie Bird is better on the brakes, but in terms of top speed, Frydenlund's SR10 is the car to have. And while they fight each other, Simon Edwards is inches closer and closer. He's 1.1 seconds behind and closing as we speak, and he's dragging Bjorklund with him, who's just cleared Rolliston, as we saw, into the S's there. But here we go, Jamie Bird gets the slipstream again. He's gearing up another move, this is what happened to Crowley.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Very odd there. It looked like he was trying to avoid everybody, and then just went straight on into the wall. And there's LeMay having his accident in the background as we're about to see Jamie Bird repassing Frydenlund. He's not been able to do it quite yet, but he's very, very close as he goes up the inside into turn 10, and Frydenlund lets him through, knowing, well, I will get back past you again. So you're not going anywhere, Jamie.
It really is a sector thing. I mean, there's certain sectors that SR8 is faster, and he's getting by. These two are very evenly matched, obviously, you know, and so they're passing each other in the stronger sectors for their car.
Ooh. Mike Buson also making a move in the background past Robert Woodward into P6. So the pole setter loses another position, and already in the S's side by side, Jamie Bird nearly makes very heavy contact there, but they just get away with a little tap as he's defending heavily, and this allows Edwards to join the battle. It's going to be either side of Jamie Bird. Who's going to get to that chicane first? It's surely going to be Edwards on the outside, and he retakes the lead, gets past both of them in one fell swoop. So Simon Edwards is looking to make it 2 out of 2 here in Watkins Glen, and Jamie Bird's defense there really helped him out a huge amount.
What a nice move that was by Simon. Holy cow.
Well, there's Paul LeMay just up the road ahead of them, which is somewhat disconcerting for me because Paul LeMay had a big crash and his rear wheel was looking very barely attached to the car there, so the mechanics had done quite the job to get him back out from the pits. Must have used his joker, I guess.
Yeah, probably so. Well, you know, he is trying to get some points, but yeah, they're going to run him down really fast here, it looks like.
Yeah, if it's been a rush job as well, they might not have necessarily repaired all the damage here. As you can see, Jamie Bird is gearing up for another move. Is this a replay
yes,
of
I just had to see this
how
right
the move
here.
happened around the outside there? Yeah, there we go. Bird did very, very well to leave enough space for both Edwards and Frydenlund on the inside there. But it's interesting now, the two Team Norway racing drivers of Frydenlund and Bjorklund, 3rd and 4th, and only about 6/10 apart now. They may end up swapping here to give Bjorklund a chance of stealing a victory from these two.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the smart move, wouldn't it, for the point situation, considering Bjorklund's status in the points.
Yeah, now this could be interesting if they do end up lapping Paul LeMay in that SR8 together then. So Jamie Bird uses the toe from Simon Edwards to make sure he doesn't fall into the clutches of Frydenlund. Gonzaga has just passed Woodward for P7, so George Gonzaga. Whoa! Simon Edwards goes wide, and he had a big moment over the curb there, and he loses 3 positions then. So a race that was falling into Simon Edwards' hands now immediately falls out of it with one crucial mistake under braking there.
That was pretty wild, wasn't it?
He did well to save it, though. He realised what was happening very, very early on. So that really shows you that the instincts of Simon Edwards are very highly attuned, and Jamie Bird will almost be thanking him, but now it's back to square one, isn't it, between him and Frydenlund? The only thing that might help is if he can clear Paul LeMay very, very quickly here and get that SR in between. So let's see the replay here. Edwards really nailed the exit from the S's. Maybe slightly distracted from LeMay in the distance, but I doubt it. LeMay is sort of pulling to the inside very early, but goes back to the racing line, and then Edwards under braking over the first curb, destabilizes a bit. Yeah, there we go. And rather than trying to fight it and try and make the corner and spin out into the wall, he decided to back out and live to fight another day then. So sensible from Simon.
You summed it up right there in a nutshell. He was smart enough to realize, don't try to save this. Just take the runoff area and, you know, and live to fight another day, so to speak. Yeah. Absolutely.
Look at this. The two Norwegians are not exactly making it easy for Bjorklund to get through. Bjorklund on the outside on the exit of the S's here. And they need to make up their mind here because Simon Edwards is coming back for them as Paul LeMay gets out of the way for Jamie Bird. And is a change for second. Is there? No, Frydenlund holds on. Oh, I think that was Edwards nearly hitting the back of Bjorklund. They just got caught out by them being held up by each other.
He did, but he also caught that curb awkward again. And it did the same thing it did the previous lap.
There we go. There's the swap. And I think Frydenlund left the door open for Bjorklund through the boot there.
Yeah, but he's probably going to attempt to hold Simon up, break a little early there like that right there. And we'll see. Simon's going to need to make quick work of this or he's going to get, and there's LeMay.
Oh, through the needle.
Bad time for LeMay to pop out there, isn't it?
Bad time for Simon, really. As up the inside, nonetheless, he's going to try and make the move into heel. Can Frydenlund keep him at bay? No, he cannot. No. Simon Edwards is back on the podium. So, yeah, now David Rolliston may even fancy a go at Lars-Erik Frydenlund because he is right behind in that tiger stripe SR8, and he's dragging Gonzaga with him as well, not far behind in the SR10. Gonzaga holding back a very strong-looking Mike Buson. Buson's been having a quite good race, actually, to keep up with Gonzaga, but the big gainers in this race from where they started have certainly been Gonzaga and Simon Edwards, despite that huge moment at the chicane. Edwards is still very much in contention to win this one here, but you can see Bjorklund has lost a crucial bit of ground to Jamie Bird on that previous lap, and that could well come back to bite him here. But certainly the SR10 is going to be faster down the straight. It's just a matter of whether Simon Edwards and Kim-Andre Bjorklund fight each other or decide to work together here. Well, if they fight each other, it could play into Bird's hands.
Yeah, I'm sure Jamie's wanting World War III to break out back there between those two. You know, 2 second, 1 3/4 to 2 second lead in this field with an SR8 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think he really took advantage of Edwards being a bit held up, and also Bjorklund having to wait a few extra corners to get past his teammate as well, because I think Bjorklund, he's more experienced than Frydenlund, and he's certainly so far in this event had better pace, as we saw in the sprint, to be honest. But Frydenlund, to be fair, he has actually put in a great performance so far in this feature, to be swapping the lead with Jamie Bird, to be holding on to that P4 quite convincingly at this phase. But now this is a crucial moment in the race. We're on lap 7 of 16, about to start lap 8, so we're going to half distance now. 8 more laps to go, and can Simon Edwards pick off Bjorklund quickly, or will he stay tucked in behind and hope Bjorklund has got the pace to catch Jamie Bird? Last lap was 1:39.8 for Jamie Bird, 1:40 for Kim-Andre Bjorklund, 40.7 as well. Another 1:39.9 for Jamie Bird, but a 1:39.8 for Bjorklund then. 1:39.4 for Simon Edwards. So they are starting to catch up now, but you sense Edwards is the faster one, but he's tucked in behind, and that's going to limit what he can do here. He will need to pick his moment well.
Well, this could be that moment. He's in just the right spot to pull this slipstream off right here.
Here we go. Side by side into the chicane. Edwards has got the inside. Bjorklund being sensible. Man. Very risky over the curves, but this time Edwards does make the corner, and into second place he goes. That's a crucial move. Frydenlund has made a big mistake, though. I think he's out. So he has clearly lost it over the chicane, and that's handed Rolliston fourth.
Well, let's see. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, I think it's going to be that.
Oh, not the first bit.
No,
it's the second bit. Oh, he just hops over it. And wow, so lucky he didn't take out LeMay again. Who had a similar incident going wide on the exit and then spinning into the wall.
Something happened to Luke. I thought they might have been involved in some similar incident together.
He looks a bit far back from a long time ago now, I think. We must have missed it there. Oh, so spinning out the first corner, so I think just pushing too hard in frustration for Paul Crowley, and that signals the end of his day. So no Racer X spectaculars for the man in the Bumblebee livery.
Well, Racer X never won anyway, you know. He always protected speed and gave speed the victory.
Yeah, remind people of the speed racer law.
I mean, as a kid, man, Speed Racer was it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, where's Chim Chim when you need him?
Yeah, right. Spritle, Chim Chim, Trixie, and I can't remember what his mechanic's name was.
Pops,
Sparky. No, well, Pops was the car builder. Yeah. But
here
I
we
think
go then.
Sparky
Bjorklund is looking to fight back against Edwards here, and tucking him behind as they go into the chicane. So he backed out of that one quite early. So yeah, there we go. But not a great exit from Simon Edwards. That will compromise him into the inner loop here.
Man, that curb is eating him alive every time he goes across it. He's running that.
He did set the fastest lap, so Simon Edwards is really risking it. He set the fastest lap last round, 1:39.2, 4/10 quicker than Jamie Bird. So Bird is 1.5 seconds up the road, but this could be really nail-biting stuff. It's, for my money, a three-way fight for the lead between Bird, Edwards, Bjorklund here. And Edwards is really up against it here because he's got to take the risk, but if he makes a big mistake, it could be the difference between finishing on the podium and crashing out entirely.
Well, that line he's taking through there is, I just have this feeling it's going to bite him again.
Well, he's under so much pressure from Bjorklund behind him as well. So if he messes up, Bjorklund will not have a whole lot of time to react. So I think Kim Andre is looking for the move to retaliate here.
I mean, if I'm, if I was, he got a little twitchy right there.
Yeah, even Bird is also taking risks. You saw how close he was to the grass on his turn-in from the final corner there. But yeah, Bjorklund really starting to pressurize Simon Edwards, and this is where the experience of a championship leader, Simon Edwards, who's used to winning in this championship in the Radicals, and he's done it many, many times in the past. But this is a situation where he's got to not falter. He had that big near miss earlier, but he decided to live to fight another day. He had a big moment the previous lap. Here comes Bjorklund right in the toe, up the inside, and Simon Edwards lets him go to get back immediately into the slipstream. So they, I think, are going to swap positions back and forth and hope to use the slingshot from each other to catch up to Jamie Bird, who's now just a second ahead. Heinz Braun, meanwhile, has passed both Buson and Gonzaga in recent history then. So Braun on this lap goes up to P5, and he's now right behind David Rolliston for P4. So Braun has had a more steady climb through the order after finishing second and starting in ninth for this race. But nonetheless, it's impressive to see the German really get to grips with the Watkins Glen circuit.
Yeah, and he's got Gonzaga all over him here.
Yeah, well, he's just passed Gonzaga is the problem for you, George, here. So what can the Portuguese driver do to keep up? And does he? This is sort of exactly what we're seeing with Edwards and Bjorklund. Do you fight each other and let Dave Rolliston get away up front, or do you work together maybe strategically, sort of plan ahead, don't hold each other up too much if the other is faster, or just stay tucked in behind when you could easily make a move and hold each other up?
I mean, that is the question. I guess, you kind of just have to weigh out where you're at. We still got 6 laps to go, or we're coming up on 5 laps to go now.
They're going to disappear quickly, though. And look at this. Gonzaga starting to fall away from Braun. Braun showing the pace that he showed in the sprint race, isn't he? As he closes in on David Rolliston. Rolliston in that Tiger Stripe SR8 would love a P4. That would be one of his best results of the season, surely. But Heinz Braun keen to take it away from him in what you would assume is a stronger car, as Bjorklund and Edwards stay in formation in second and third. It doesn't look like Simon Edwards is close enough, but they have gained on this back straight as Braun is up the inside of Rolliston for P4 then behind them. And look at Edwards again, a bit cagey over the curbs there, but Heinz Braun crucially into top 4, and now Gonzaga will have a clear run at David Rolliston.
Go back and look at that real quick. It's pretty much a typical pass there, I think, coming down the straight. But
yeah, set up through the S's, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, Heinz Braun just waited patiently and decided now was the moment to strike. But up front, Jamie Bird has really been caught by Bjorklund and Edwards on this lap then. 1/3, he was caught by about 8/10. So has Jamie Bird maybe used the best of his tyres at this phase then? Is this still a replay or is it live? Because I didn't quite see the transition in time, if so. There we go. So Jamie Bird just 8/10 then ahead of Kim-Andre Bjorklund, with Simon Edwards shadowing him behind. And there are, I think, 4 laps to go after this one then. We are about to start lap 12 of 16 then. And Bjorklund knows he's got to get the bit between his teeth if he wants to take yet another feature race victory here. Simon Edwards has certainly made a couple of mistakes that has enabled him to take advantage here, and he's had a bit of help from his teammate who's now out of this race. Well, no, actually he's still going down in 13th, I should say, behind Paul LeMay. So LeMay, incredibly, still going to finish in the top 12 despite going back to the pits for repairs. And look at this, Simon Edwards closing in. They're going to get a double toe from the back of Jamie Bird, who pulls out to the outside. Simon Edwards is going to try and go through the middle. Is he going to run out of room? Bjorklund up the inside, side by side into the chicane, and it's Kim-Andre Bjorklund that steals the lead from Jamie Bird. Bird had held onto it for so many laps, but Bjorklund is now through, and Bird has got to focus on holding back Simon Edwards then, and that could well play into Bjorklund's hands if he can escape on the rest of this lap.
yeah, and Simon has got to focus on getting by Jamie as quick as possible, or they're going to lose Bjorklund, because that SR10 and that power is going to stretch itself out, I think.
Yeah, did you see that going into toe that Jamie Bird breaks super late and nearly hit the back of Bjorklund, and that means he's a little bit too far back to make a move into heel at turn 8 then. So yeah, Bjorklund going a little bit wide on exit, but that shouldn't hurt him too much here. And the problem now, once they get to the S's, Bird could well be a sitting duck, so he's got to stay right behind Bjorklund as closely as possible to get as much slipstream and toe as possible. Oh, and he goes over the curb, does Jamie Bird, and that could well put him in a really vulnerable position now because Kim Bjorklund has got those crucial attempts. He pulls to the inside to break the toe. Jamie Bird decides to start to follow, but he was also trying to make sure he didn't leave the door open for Edwards on the inside into turn 1 there. But now, yeah, this is going to be crucial. Will Edwards be able to make the attack into P2 here? We got 3 laps to go, and this race still is on tenterhooks here, and you can see the SR10 really starting to get into gear now. Jamie Bird will be absolutely defenseless here unless he hogs the middle of the road, leaves just enough room for Simon Edwards to go through, and Edwards is back into that runners-up spot with a clear run at Bjorklund. And now Jamie Bird needs to hope that Edwards and Bjorklund fight like rats in a sack, and that enables him to get back involved here because at the moment he's been played out of this one.
Yeah, and he had a great run. He held the lead for a long portion of this race in a car that's clearly not the fastest car here today. But eventually it caught up to him. You know, he needed a little bit more battling back there and a little less cooperation between those two.
Yeah, well, it still could happen for Jamie Bird. And he is still the best at the SR8, having a much better race, feature race than a sprint, which seems to be becoming a bit of a pattern with Jamie, isn't it? That he tends to have a bit of bad luck in the sprints and then fights back as we see Simon Edwards going a bit wide there. That will give Jamie Bird a little bit of hope, but ideally he wants Edwards to catch up to Bjorklund, not fall into him and delay him. Oh, and it gets way too close for comfort. Bird just about saves it there, but that was a frightening moment there for our SR8 championship leader. Nearly crashed into the back of our SR10 championship leader, but that certainly didn't look deliberate from Simon Edwards.
No. I want to go back and look at that, but it's not really giving me.
I guess because Bird kept out the wall, it's not classed as an incident, isn't it? But certainly cost him a bit of time, 1.5 seconds then.
I'm going to jump back here.
So it all really started with Edwards going a bit wide, which gave Jamie Bird the opportunity to get Jamie Bird got over the curb.
Yeah,
there we go.
On the curb. Yeah, it wasn't.
So there wasn't actually contact with Simon Edwards.
No, he may have turned the car a little more to avoid contact. Let's do this one more time, and let's go on board with Jamie here.
Oh, it was very close to contact, but yeah, you're right.
I think he may have turned it slightly more to avoid, to avoid the contact, and that could have hurt him being on the curb and everything.
Yeah, well, now Jamie Bird has just got to make sure he holds off Heinz Braun now, who's closed to within 2 seconds of him. So there is a threat from the German behind who wants to make it 2 podiums at Watkins Glen, but it is it's turning into a similar fight. You see Gonzaga and Rolliston fighting in the background as well. And it does look like Buson holding back in 7th position as Rolliston goes up the inside into heel. That's the classic SR8 move, isn't it? From the man in the Tiger Racing livery. And he goes back into P5, does Rolliston. So Rolliston has not been a pushover from starting from pole, has he? He has really fought to get every position back that he can. And in fact, he started for 4th, didn't he? So actually, he's only really lost 1 position in the scheme of things, the way it's played out.
Right.
But at the moment, on the penultimate lap now, Edwards sets the fastest lap, a 10th quicker than Bjorklund, but Bjorklund with a whole second over Simon Edwards. It's really going to take a big mistake, I think, from Bjorklund for Simon Edwards to steal victory. But from that mistake you made earlier, he's fought back beautifully, hasn't he?
He has, and to be honest, a 10th is obviously not going to get it done here, but you do have the Simon Edwards factor, though. There's a bit of intimidation just knowing he's coming behind you, and sometimes that can force you. It doesn't take much, to drop a half second real fast, So we'll see. But I think Bjorklund's got a lap and a half or so to finish this out.
Yeah, and Gonzaga and Rolliston fighting each other has allowed Mike Buson to join the party in the battle for P5 then. So we got 2 SR8s waiting for their moment against the SR10 of Gonzaga, who's nonetheless at least going to get a much better result than he did in the sprint race here. But Bjorklund, this is surely going to be his 5th feature win in a row if he can just hold on here under pressure from Simon Edwards.
Simon's working on it. He's going to need to...
Well, yeah.
Oh, there's a little twitch.
Big drift from Bjorklund. That's going to excite Simon Edwards. His eyes will widen up at that one, won't it? Is Bjorklund starting to run out of tyres on that SR10? And if so, Simon Edwards has he got enough to play with here?
He's probably just driving the wheels off of it right now to stay in front of Simon, but that was a couple
White flag.
tenths, I mean, a couple tenths here, a couple tenths there, and that's all it takes, and Simon will be right on top of him. Once he gets in the draft, too, of course, he's running out of draft area. This is the area that you need to be in the draft, and he's not, so.
Yeah, that's the problem. If he was against an SR8, maybe, as the Braun is sort of 1.2 seconds behind Jamie Bird. So Bird, I think, has got just enough to hold on here. Buson's out. Oh dear, Mike Buson crashing out in the final lap as Simon Edwards absolutely clobbers the curb and just about holds on there. He is taking every risk he can to even a faint chance of victory to keep it alive here. But Bjorklund, I think, knows he's just about got Simon Edwards covered here. He's also driven brilliantly, as he tends to. But for Mike Buson, late heartbreak here. Going into turn one, what happens here right behind is that Rolliston just in front of him, gets over the curb, loses control and crashes into the wall. And that's the second lucky escape for Paul LeMay, because the first one was not so lucky.
Right. Yeah, not too much. Yeah, I believe that Bjorklund is got this one in hand. If he can just maintain here, I think he's in good shape.
Here we go then, and this could well be a victory that puts Bjorklund, I think, into the top 3 or maybe even top 2 in the championship then, depending on the point situation. Through the final couple of corners comes the Norwegian. It's going to be yet another feature race victory here at Watkins Glen. He goes right towards the wall, flashes the lights, and victory goes to the likeable Norwegian. Simon Edwards has to settle for P2 after a race that he could well have won, but for one or two small errors that he just survived from. And then it's going to be Jamie Bird that takes third ahead of Heinz Braun. So just holding off by a second at the flag. Gonzaga will take 5th position. Rolliston will be 6th. Woodward 7th. Mellis 8th. So good result for Stefan Mellis. And Graham Matthew in the top 9 as well. Good result for the Scotsman ahead of the very unlucky Paul LeMay in 10th. And there's Bjorklund, justifiably overwhelmed with joy after a absolutely spectacular performance there. He made some brilliant moves when he needed to on both Edwards and Bird. He always had his car in the right place, and he didn't make mistakes when it mattered.
Yeah, that was a very well inspired run there. They took their time. They worked their way up to Jamie, disposed of him, and then Bjorklund just was able to separate himself there when it mattered. That was quite impressive. So let's see here. We should have some final results up.
Yeah, let's take a peek then. So Kim-Andre Bjorklund was on the podium in the first race, but this time, instead of third, he ends the day in first, which is becoming somewhat of a habit for the sim racing Norway driver. Simon Edwards has to settle for second, just a second down. Jamie Bird led quite a fair stint of the race, but he's 5 seconds down with that late spin, meaning he has to settle for third ahead of Heinz Braun, who did recover through the field. It was a good day for Heinz Braun, I think, to take second and fourth in the sprint and feature respectively. George Gonzaga does get to the end this time, recovers up to 5th place, a brilliant first lap, putting him in a strong position, with Dave Rolliston taking P6, second best at the SR8s from Robert Woodward. Another good performance from Woodward as well, defending pretty well. Mellis got up to 8th in the end, him and Graham Matthew doing well to stay out of trouble as Matthew in the number 72 gets his car home in P9. Mike Buson rounds out the top 10, I believe, on this sheet at least. But I think because he retired on the final lap, he may have actually been technically beaten by Paul LeMay, although I think we'll go with what's on here. So it says Buson, despite being a lap down, is 10th ahead of Paul LeMay in 11th. Lars-Erik Frydenlund takes P12, our last finisher on the road. Very unlucky after a good start to the race for him. Sorli Raitanen, he is another that I think retires quite late on, 2 laps down. Also not getting to the end is Luke Crowley, James Barry, and Colin Wynn. I think all 3 of them involved in accidents. But Colin Wynn's horrible day. He didn't really get many laps in at all, did he? Retiring, I think, in the first couple of laps in both races here at not Monza, but Watkins Glen, of course. So the text is slightly misleading there at the top, but never mind.
That was me.
Round 10 in the books. No worries. So there we go. A very entertaining days racing, and yeah, it's Andre Bjorklund that ends the day on top in the feature. But yeah, you have to say, a lot of star performances there. It wasn't just about Simon Edwards and Andre Bjorklund dominating up front. There was plenty of trouble from behind.
No, and I tell you, Bjorklund really turned in had a great day today, especially with Bruno Vitorino not being here. That's going to really help his cause as far as the points go. We have anybody in our waiting room?
We do. We have Braun, we have Bjorklund, and we have Edwards. So shall we go for Heinz Braun first, given that we don't usually get to talk to him?
Yeah, sure.
Right then, so let's drag the German in and get his thoughts on his very successful day, it must be said. So we're now joined by the man who finished second in the sprint race and fourth in the feature from ninth on the grid. It is Mr. Heinz Braun. Heinz, hello, buddy.
Hello.
Welcome to the interview room. A very good day's racing, my friend. You were very impressive in the sprint, made an excellent start to get ahead of Simon Edwards. Couldn't quite bring the victory home. But then you put in a bit of a slow burn in the second race in the feature. You were picking off one by one and got to fourth by the end, past the likes of Gonzaga and Rolliston. So all in all, a very tidy day's work.
Yeah, of course. I would say like that. I'm totally sweaty. Maybe 1.5 liters of sweat in my t-shirt. I don't know, but it was really fun to go through the field. Even it's not what you wish when you do this. Have a mistake in the first lap, but in the end, it's really nice and makes a lot of fun. And as long as you grab some draft, it gets even better.
So tell me a little bit about the sprint, because you made a brilliant start off the line to jump Simon Edwards, which not many people have done this season, it must be said. And then you and Simon are fighting away. Simon just gets through right as Barry, isn't it? James Barry makes a big mistake and crashes out of the race at the chicane then. Was there a bit of frustration when you saw that? You thought, oh, if only I kept Simon behind me, that could have been a win for me? Or do you think that was still a really strong PT?
I think it was a strong P2 because normally I say when you drive a little more strategic, then you wouldn't start fighting and try to keep the draft of James. I thought we lost him already when I tried to hold my place. In the end, it was quite funny and lucky for us that he made this mistake. Otherwise, I think he would have been gone. But in the end, I think it's what makes most fun when you have this close racing. You never know who backs out in front of the chicane. It really makes fun, and sometimes it even seems to work with two cars through the chicane. So that really makes fun, even if it sometimes Simon was taking the inside, and I was saying, oh, hopefully I get this corner right. I touched him a bit, but unfortunately he didn't lose the car, so we could fight on then. That was really nice and a lot of fun.
Absolutely brilliant to hear that, because it was certainly fun to commentate on as well. So Heinz, you went in today P10, I think, in the overall standings. So you definitely needed some good results. You got that, and that should put you in good stead to maybe fight for P7, P6 in the overall standings. Is that your aim now for the rest of these final two races of the season? Or is it more just go out there, have fun, and see what happens?
Having fun and, of course, trying to get the best out of me and out of the results. We will see. I would like to have top 5 in the end, but we will see. It will be, I think Le Mans will be a very special race next time, because this is not a really track for like radicals, but we have to see. Also draft heavy then, and I will see.
Absolutely. We look forward to it as well. Jim, do you have any questions before we let Heinz go?
No, not really any questions. You covered everything, but just a congratulations. It's good to see you, string together a couple of nice finishes, and you've been driving strong, all season, and I think your results, today paid off, and it showed that, that you had the pace. It was good to see, like you were talking about James Barry here. he probably would have been gone had he not made that mistake in the first race.
Yeah.
But it all worked out. And by the way, I want to say, I don't know if this is the exact same livery that you've been running or not, but I took special notice of it tonight. I guess I got some up close shots of it. It's a really good looking livery you got on that car too.
Yeah, thank you.
Is anyone you want to shout out, Heinz, before we let you go?
Yeah, maybe to the team. It's a little bit in changing mode, so it's I don't know if it's called Herzog Motorsport next year again, but yeah, to the guys.
A period of transition then for Herzog
Yeah,
Motorsport.
maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks. It's brilliant to talk to you, Heinz, because we don't often get to do it, but thanks for dropping by, and well done on entertaining us and getting some brilliant results today. Podium in the sprint, P4 in the feature.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a nice man.
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
Very nice.
let's shall we drag in the man who won the sprint race and had to settle for second in the feature, Mr. Simon Edwards. So we are now joined by Simon Edwards after a brilliant sprint race where he took victory ahead of Heinz Braun, the man we just finished talking to, but a slightly frustrating feature race where a couple of tiny mistakes meant he just missed out on victory to Kim-Andre Bjorklund. Simon, a strong performance today, but let's start with the sprint because it felt like at the start, Heinz jumped you, and that put you in a slightly less than ideal position, and you were having to fight back all the way through. But a mistake from James Barry through the chicane basically took him out of victory position right as you were overtaking Heinz, and that really opened the way for you to win in that one.
Yeah, that was very odd. I thought James was well away there. I had to take some risks in that first race. Heinz jumped me, and then I was following him around, and I didn't realise Kim had followed him, and I nearly took him off the race in the first lap. I didn't realise he was right up Heinz's bum. So I just calmed down a bit and then just waited to see what the pace was. I've got a unique line through the chicane.
Yes, you do.
Works.
I was coming. As soon as he cut over to me, I was going to be, look, man, talk to us about that line, because to me, from an outsider's perspective, that line seems so dangerous. That's the old line that you can run in a GT car, which is right up next to that barrier wall. But when they remodeled these curbs, it seems like it's pretty rough going through there now in these cars. And it looked like it tossed you around several times. It got you in trouble once, but it tossed you around a few times going through there.
Yeah, I never learn. I've got to do the same thing all the time. So yeah, I'd set the car up specifically just for that, and you have to hit it sort of in the right way. And the sun was in a funny place, and it was really shinier in the chicane in the feature. So when I went off, is because I completely missed that line, and the car just bounced in the air. And then I was just, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall.
You did a good job there. You did a good job there bailing and knowing that you weren't going to save that. If you try to save it, you wreck the car. And so that was some quick thinking on your part, clearly. But yeah, I mean, that I tell you what, that line looked awful rough in these cars. It really did. I was surprised that you stuck with it, to be honest.
Oh, it's faster for me. So I'm normally reliable there. I'd worked out how to be reliable there. It was just that one-off that I screwed it up, really. But yeah, and I'm a bit annoyed that I lost the lead there effectively, didn't I? I think I might have got away at that point. But hey-ho, I got back to second.
You absolutely did. It was still pretty close near the end, especially those closing stages where both you and Kim-Andre were kind of working together for a little bit to catch Jamie, and then when Kim-Andre got within touching distance, it sort of became a bit more of a free-for-all, didn't it?
Yeah, I just didn't know what to do in that situation, because we could have just ended up a pile of 3 cars when we both caught Jamie at the same time. So I backed out, which obviously gave Kim a little bit of space. I thought I could get back to him, but I couldn't.
You were taking a lot of risks in those closing stages.
Was
We talked
it?
about that line. That final lap, you were absolutely flying over the inside curb at the chicane.
Yeah.
So was it in the sprint race where y'all went 3 wide for the lead, where you went to the outside heading in towards the chicane, and
I think I went on the inside.
you might have went on the inside? Yeah.
I think
when-
it happened in the feature as well with Friedland and Jamie, didn't it? Before.
Yes, I think I did that there as well. Yeah. Like I say, I never learn. Yeah.
That was exciting. No, I mean, look, that's good stuff. And look, and even your line through the chicane. I mean, watching you bounce through there every time, just waiting to see if another, disaster was going to happen or something, certainly made it very exciting, as you always do. But it was good to see James pop back in. I hope it's not just a one-off. I hope he comes back and races a few races with us. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and he got a good pole there. It was around the time I would have been able to do if I hadn't spun. Yeah, I was getting greedy in the hairpin. Yeah. Yeah, we're good to have him back.
You excited about Le Mans next week, Simon?
No, I'm going to try and get a pole going to replace it.
Oh, there we go. Somebody is in a very positive frame of mind.
Well, I'm sure if they took a vote, you probably would be hard pressed to find 2 or 3 drivers that would vote to have Le Mans on this schedule.
I don't know. I can't remember. Do they do the Bugatti sort of motorcycle track, which is the same location?
Oh, I don't know.
I wonder if we can just change the config. Yeah.
At the moment, it says on the schedule, Circuit this 24 hours du Mans. So the word Bugatti is not mentioned anywhere. So if it is the Bugatti circuit, they're certainly keeping quiet about it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, just off the top of my memory, when they do the inner circuit, it's called the Bugatti circuit, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Not certain. Yeah.
Which sort of only really uses the start-finish line and a bit of the final sector.
That's it, yeah.
But anyway, Jim, do you have any more? I think you already asked a question.
No, I'm good.
So, all right. So Simon, anybody you want to shout out before we let you go? Obviously, 2 more races to go. We get to the end of this season now, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say sorry to Paul LeMay. I didn't realise he was on my outside when we were passing another SR8. I don't know who it was, actually.
Rolliston, wasn't it, in the Tiger?
Was it Rolliston? Yeah. So I didn't realise he was got such a good run on the outside. So I didn't take care to stay on the inside. I could have just run the inside curb, but I thought I was on my own. So I only saw him last second as he came across. So sorry to him, because he would have got a good finish there.
Yeah, and that incident where Paul was spinning around after crashing in the barrier, that also took out James Barry as well in the feature.
Oh dear. Oh, sorry, James. Yeah, go on.
Yep. Look at there. Simon, known as a dirty driver now. Look at him.
Hey, look. It was a series of unfortunate events that no one could have foreseen.
Indeed it was.
Anyway, thanks for talking to us, Simon. It's always lovely to talk to you. And yeah, best of luck for these final 2 races. Luckily, after Le Mans, the final one is Road Atlanta. So back to the States and back to where you're at your best, of course. So yeah, you certainly, it was great to see you put in so many strong performances today and take all the risks to put in a good show for us, because it certainly made the race a lot more exciting, especially in the feature there where you very, very nearly stole it back off of Kim Andre. But unfortunately, not quite to be on this occasion, but I'm sure there'll be more feature race wins before we're done.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. Thank you, Jim.
Right then, so as we let Simon Edwards enjoy that sprint race win and the second place trophy, as we see a replay of him cutting across the chicane with that last minute save.
There it was.
There to save the worst moment right at the end of the interview. Let's drag in the man who won that feature race and I think was 3rd in the sprint, if I'm not mistaken. Well, he'll correct me in a moment, won't he? It's Mr. Kim Andre Bjorklund. So, the driver from Sim Racing Norway joins us now, Kim Andre Bjorklund, after yet another feature race win and a pretty strong sprint race as well. Kim Andre, it just seems every time we see you race, you get better and better. But that was a very, very tough feature. You really had to fight for that one. And luckily, you made all the moves at the right moment. You didn't make mistakes, or some of the rivals around you did. And the reward is you just held off Simon Edwards for victory, as has been the story quite a few times this season, it must be said.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good. It will be hard to try to catch Simon in the championship, but I'm trying every week and just see what happens at the end.
Yeah, so I can't really remember what happened in the sprint race to you, Kim. Trevor, I'm being completely honest with all the craziness that was going on. Suffice to say, the James Barry spinning over the curb and into the wall from the lead sort of allowed you to finish on the podium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a part of it. And
oh, up on top of your good driving, of course.
Yeah, of course. I had a pretty bad qualifying, so started a bit behind, but made some crucial passes at the start, and when Barry binned it, it was just cruising into P3.
There we go. And that, of course, put you 8th on the grid for the feature. And it was, I think, suffice to say, pretty chaotic, but not least, you had your teammate helping out for the first part of the race, Lars-Erik Frydenlund, who was swapping positions with Jamie in the first couple of laps. Like, I think they swapped like 5 or 6 times in total. And all of that really helped you out because you and Simon were able to close on that lead fight. And then a big mistake from Simon over the chicane sort of opened the door for you to fight Jamie for the lead, essentially.
Yeah, so Simon was heading to the wall. I was thinking, oh no,
because you were right behind him, of course.
Yeah, and when I saw him enter the track, I was just, oh no, not in front of me. It could be ugly.
And when you were fighting Jamie, was there a sense that it was just a matter of time with the SR8? Obviously, the SR10 had a big advantage coming out of the S's onto that long back straight into the chicane. So there were a couple of moments where there was danger of you, Simon, and Jamie going free wide as well. So
Yeah.
you had a few lucky escapes there. I say lucky, I think good judgment as well.
Yeah, a bit of both. I knew it was hard to catch Jamie in the more technical part. The SR8 is fast there. But I just had to not lose too much in the boot and last section of the track to be able to stay close to him in sector 1.
Absolutely. And that ended up being key, of course. So obviously another feature win for you. Next up, we got Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe, or Circuit de 24 Hours, I think, as it says on the website. Are you excited for that one? Because we've had one driver who seems quite keen on it, another who seems less infused. So I wonder what your perspective is.
I'm not sure. I have
okay, middle of the road. Well, that makes sense. We got a plethora of opinions then.
Yeah.
Wait and see is Kim Andre Bjorklund's professional opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jim, do you have any questions for our feature race winner?
No, just a congratulations. Good job tonight. It's just good, solid driving, and you've been, with Vitorino not showing up tonight. That's certainly gonna, kind of cement your place a little better in the points. Catching Simon,
Reitman didn't have a good day either, so that's P3 in trouble as well.
Catching Simon is obviously probably going to be tough, but it's great to see you making a late season run, and you really strung together some strong performances over the last month or so. I guess you seem to have found a little more consistency, and maybe how to avoid some incidents along the way. Maybe there's some luck in that, obviously some skill as well. So yeah, I mean, congratulations. You're making the end of this season very exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
And Kim Andre, is anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Of course, my teammate Lars-Erik. He made it fun today, and the other teammates who are in the session and try to help me spot a bit, and you guys for streaming this race and bringing it out to the people watching.
Oh, that's very
And
kind
of
you.
course, Simon. It's fun to race Simon.
Yeah, well, there we go. I'm sure the man who's still here, by the way, will be grinning ear to ear hearing that. But nonetheless, Kim Andre, you put in another spectacular show for us. You always tend to deliver when the pressure is on, and you're often the one putting the pressure on some of the drivers around you. So well done again on another spectacular win. And yeah, best of luck for Circuit de la Sarthe as we close inch by inch towards the end of this season. 2 more weeks to go, and very best of luck to you.
I'll tell you what, I do want to shout out his teammate. Lars had a very good battle with Jamie early on. That was some of the best battle up front racing that we've seen, this season. Some really nice back and forth, working through the cars were working in their proper areas on the track, and they were passing each other where they're supposed to pass each other. That was very entertaining. And of course he didn't get a chance. We didn't get a chance to talk to really either one of them, but it was both of them. That was quite entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're definitely 2 of the stand-up performers from today. It's just a shame that Lars Erik didn't quite get the finish he deserved. I think he did finish fairly well in the sprint. He was certainly top 8, wasn't he? I don't remember. It's so long ago now. But yeah, that was very, very entertaining. And of course, he dutifully moved over for his teammate pretty much a couple of seconds after we kind of brought it up. It might be a good idea to move over. He did it. So yeah, that certainly was a big part of Kim Andre Bjorklund's victory as well. So we shouldn't dismiss Lars Erik's role in that. But yeah, nonetheless, Sim Racing Norway, I think we'll be celebrating either way after another victory at Watkins Glen. And that very much brings us to the end of the broadcast, Jim. So next week, we have got Le Mans coming up. And after that, of course, Road Atlanta as well, which will be our season finale. And it's going to be fascinating to see not only whether Simon Edwards is going to be able to seal SR10 and the overall championship around early, which mathematically he can now, as just the opportunities opened up to do, but also Jamie Bird can seal that SR8 title that he went in leading by quite a way and then had that podium in race 2, which should keep him in a pretty strong position going into Le Mans then. He should be over 50 points now ahead of Stefan. I think he may have actually technically already done it, but I'm not going to work out the maths now. I'm going to let the actual people who do that work it out and then maybe announce it pre-race or after the race in Le Mans, depending on how it happens. But either way, some great campaigns coming to fruition. Yeah, no,
it's been a fantastic year, and just again, as I reiterate every week, I'm so excited to see this series and the work that's being put in by the guys to balance these cars as best they can. It's allowing the SR8, the Radical community.
Simon wasn't lying. Look how bright it is.
I know, right? To allow the Radical community to kind of come back together and race the cars they're comfortable racing, and it's really great to see that. And it's been a few seasons since we've had these groups of drivers all together, and I'm just excited to see that, and I hope it continues for that, if for no other reason other than that. It's just really cool.
Exactly. So we'll have to get some more news on next season as and when we get it. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I've been Edward Hunter. He has been Jim Cunningham. Congratulations to our sprint and feature race winners, Simon Edwards and Kim Andre Bjorklund, respectively. And tune in next week for the penultimate round at Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, France. Bye for now. And you never know, we might see you on the track someday soon in future as well. See ya.